Hey, are you stalking me? Weird. Anyway, so now we're going to move into paragraph structure, which is a little bit more complicated than introductions, but not super. By the by, because I'm, amazing. What I have done with the intro and pretty much every sample that I've shown you, I'm color coding it. Okay, so let me just flick back and you'll see if I can get it to flick back. There we go. See how I've got titles in orange, blue, purple, or pink? I don't know. It looks purple on mine. And green. I've done the same thing here. So when you want to go back and review this on the PowerPoint, just have a look at that. I know, you're welcome. Okay, so let's talk essay layout first. Okay, so you've got your intro, ofs, and then you've got para 1, para 2, para 3. Okay, so you've got 3 paragraphs. In each of these paragraphs, you are going to talk about both texts, and you're going to provide evidence and explanations for both texts. Okay, so para 1, you're going to compare and contrast text A, which can be either Macbeth or All About Eve, it doesn't matter, and text B with the first idea. Then your second paragraph, you're going to look at text A and B in regards to your second idea. And then para 3, you're going to compare text A and B with your third idea. Okay, and then conclusion. Okay, I just wanted to give you that overview of what it would look like. So, but let's look at the paragraph itself, how the paragraph itself will be structured. So let's jump in. All right. Oh, sorry. Getting ahead of myself. So my example paragraph layout will look like this. My paragraph 1 will talk about initially, ambition rewards those who struggle for more in both texts. And then para 2 is going to look at destructive towards their relationships in both texts. And then para 3 is going to look at overwhelming ambition ultimately destroys any progress in both texts. All right, so paragraph structure. Now, I cannot stress how important it is that you know and use these structures that we give you. I know it's really exciting to choose your own adventure, but ultimately you won't score as well because you'll often kind of wander off track. Think of structures as floaties in the pool, right? Yeah, you don't necessarily need to use floaties, and probably in year 12 you won't need floaties because you'll be already able to swim, right? At this stage, when you're still kind of learning the ropes of these types of essays, it's good to use the floaties, okay? Use the floaties. Okay, so we start off with a topic sentence, easy. Then we provide evidence from text 1. Let's say evidence from All About Eve, okay? Then what we'll do is explain the evidence from text 1 that we've given. Then we'll move on to text 2 and give evidence from that. Then explain the evidence from text 2. Then we'll do this newfangled thing, compare to text 1. So after you've done your explanation, you'll then move on to comparing the texts directly, talking about their comparison. And then you'll do a link sentence. But what does that look like in the flesh? Let me show you. Okay, so let's have a look at what topic sentences are. Topic sentence, same as text response basically. It's one sentence, it outlines your argument, no evidence in there. If you go to say the word when, cut the cord. It clearly connects to the question by using those keywords. So make sure that each of your topic sentences almost feels like a one-sentence answer to the question. Okay? So here's my topic sentence for my first paragraph. And I'm basically using the same essay that I was planning before. I don't know why I'm waving this around, but I'm enjoying it. So don't stop me. Okay, so mine is initially, ambition is rewarded in both texts. where both ambitious protagonists receive what they truly desire. Now, notice I say both texts there because I am going to talk about both texts in this paragraph. Okay, so, and you can see my red words. Ambitious, receive what they truly desire, which is the opposite of being destructive. Okay, so that's my topic sentence. Let's have a look at evidence. Evidence is very similar than what you would do in a text response, right? This is kind of like a text response on steroids. So, evidence can be a quote, can be a scene discussion, talking about something that happens. It could be stage directions, because obviously Macbeth is a play, it has stage directions, or it could be cinematic techniques. So you could look at some of the cinematic techniques that we see in All About Eve. Just saying. So you've got lots of choice when it comes to evidence, okay? Just make sure it clearly connects with the point you are trying to make in that argument, okay? So here's mine. So you just heard my topic sentence. Ambition is rewarded in both texts, where both ambitious protagonists receive what they truly desire. So how do I prove that in All About Eve? Let's find out. Upon reflection on the text, it is clear that Eve in All About Eve, notice I underline it there because every time I use the title, I have to underline it. It is clear that Eve, in All About Eve, has designs on fame and fortune from the very beginning. She begins the film by orchestrating a situation with Karen, where she is sure to worm her way into Margot's inner circle, then promptly insinuates herself into Margot's life, where she can study Margot like she were a play or a set of blueprints. It is this studying of Margot that allows Eve to encapsulate Margot's persona in order to replace her in Lloyd's plays as a younger model of Margot. But even better, as Eve ensures that she takes on none of Margot's flaws, such as reading Lloyd's lines exactly how he wrote them. Okay, so there's a few things going on here. So I'm starting to lay the scene about her being ambitious and how she kind of is doing things to get what she desires. Okay, so I'm kind of laying the groundwork there. And then I show how she actually becomes this younger model, which is actually what she desires. She wants to be Margot, doesn't she? So instead of giving big fat quotes, which I think a lot of you guys do because you think it's better, that more bigger quotes are better, that's not necessarily true. What I'm doing there is I'm actually using very little quotes, but important words. So Bertie actually says this, that she's studying Margot like a play or a set of blueprints. That's a much better quote because it flows with my language. It's called embedding quotes. And if you can do that instead of just kind of taking big slabs, examiners like it. Okay? And same with here where I've got younger model and reading Lloyd's lines exactly how he wrote them. Okay? That's probably as big as I would get in terms of a quote. And instead of giving big quotes, I'm talking about the text and slotting in my quotes. Okay, which is a much more sophisticated way of dealing with a text. The other thing that I want to point out to you is I'm doing this lovely thing where I'm changing bits of the words, bits of the quote, so that it can embed in my language easier. Okay, so this was supposed to be reading your lines exactly how you wrote them. Okay, but that doesn't fit with my language. I needed to identify that it's Lloyd. So I put the square brackets, I take out the U, and I put in Lloyd. I can only make changes that don't change the meaning of the quote though. And same here, I've got a play. It was supposed to be a play, a book, something else, or a set of blueprints. I took out the middle bit because I didn't need it. So I put a play, ... which is called an ellipsis, or a set of blueprints. That's enough, okay? So I didn't need the whole quote. So that's evidence. Okay, next, let's talk about explanations. Explanations are the most, maybe on par, equal importance. They're very important. Just take my word for it. 3 things you need to know about explanations. 1, their job is to explain how the evidence you just gave proves your point. 2, you need to make sure you use keywords to connect it back to the question. Okay, this is another place where you'll see me using red. Okay, and then 3, if you can't think of how to start an explanation, go with the good old line of "this demonstrates." Okay, that's always a good way to kind of slide in. Yeah, shows, this demonstrates, this highlights. You get it. Okay, so let's have a look at mine. So mine is talking about the evidence I just gave. So Eve's ambition has driven her to the length of not just desiring the life of another, but actively seeking it out in a way to insinuate and replicate herself into a younger, better version of Margot. When Birdie mentions Eve studies Margot, it is clear from that point that Eve will not let anything get in between her and that coveted position of centre stage. Moreover, the scene where Eve reveals herself to Lloyd as this younger, better model, the understudy scene, makes her intentions all the more clear, not to mention tangible. Tangible means you can grab it. As Lloyd and Bill are enraptured, which means like, oh wow, enraptured by her fire and music, and have every intention of having her on stage. Thus, it is clear through Eve's success that Mankiewicz believes that ambitious people do initially get everything they strive for. Okay, so what I'm doing there is explaining how the stuff I gave earlier proves the point that Eve is ambitious and she gets what she wants. Okay, and I'm just kind of talking it through. Now, notice that I also kind of slip in a couple of little quotes in there. That's just me being fancy. Okay, you definitely can do it. If you know them and it fits nicely, do it. Okay, and you'll notice the amount I am really harking back to those keywords. Okay, and harking back to the question that I'm answering. Okay, so I'm going to leave this there. I'm going to leave it there. In my next video, I'm going to show you how to move into the next text. And then ultimately how to compare. Okay, I'll see you in a minute. That was so creepy. Huh?